Welcome to Frost Astrophotography. This video is going to be a PixInsight tutorial. Sometimes you can get those annoying halos in your images and you don't really know how to get rid of them. If you are like me, restricted to cheaper filters and cannot afford those 3 nm expensive ones, you might experience halos on some of the filters and in some of the conditions. There's not much you can do about halos at the time of acquisition, but there are methods to remove or at least reduce the halo effects on your images in the processing work. And today that is going to take place in PixInsight. Welcome to PixInsight, and before we begin we need to do some installations before we can proceed, or at least check to see that you have the tools that I'm going to be using in this tutorial. I'm going to be using a script that is called Game, that is located under Script and Utilities, but that also requires you to have installed it. And to check to see if you have it, or you probably know if you don't, go to Resources, Updates, and Manage Repositories. And the repository containing the script that I will be using today is this one at skypixels.at/hvb_repository. And that will install the game script that we will be using. So add here and check for updates and restart PixInsight to install the repository or the script, and also check to see if you have any updates to PixInsight and restart after those before we continue with this tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you 4 different stacked light frames, and most of them are O3, since the O3 is most sensitive to halos if you're using a 7 nm filter, for example. If you're using a 3 nm high-end filter, you probably don't have that much problems with halos whatsoever, but since I don't use that because they are very, very expensive, I from time to time get halos, especially if I have very, very bright stars in the image, like on attack here when photographing the Horsehead Nebula. Now there's a lot of problems with this stacked image. You can see that I probably had some clouds or something disturbing some of the light frames that sneaked into this particular stack. But just ignore this for now. We're going to concentrate on the big halo here. And as you can see, I actually got this halo using my sulfur 2 filter. That might not be so common, but that was the case for me. So in this process, I'm going to take 4 of these. I had that from the Horsehead Nebula. I have an O3 stacked here from the Medulla Nebula here, or CTB1. You can see a very, very intense halo around this star in the O3. I also have this from the Elephant Trunk Nebula, also O3, a little bit more faint from this triple system, I guess it is here. And how to address that? I also have this last O3 stacked light frame here from the Teddy Bear Nebula. And this is even more faint, I would say, but you can still see the halo around this star here. And we want to try to remove that. So the procedure will be that I will create a copy of each and every one of these light frames. Then we will try and remove the halos, and in the end we are going to compare all of them to see if we succeeded in removing or at least reducing the halos on those images. We are starting with this one. I'm dragging this out here to make a copy of this. We're going to Script, Utilities, and Game. Now, the game script is basically a mask creator, and we are going to create a mask to cover the halo as best we can. Now, you can of course use any other tool that you want to create this mask. I know there are tutorials out there using other built-in features. For example, you can use pixel math to mark out coordinates for creating a circular mask. But I find that this script is very useful. We want this mask as sharp as possible, so you're going to select the binary mask feature here. You're also going to check Auto STF so we can actually see the image onto which we are creating a mask here. And then we are going to add a mask shape. Now we can move this around and manipulate it in any way. But as you can see here, the star and halo is very small. So we are going to need to zoom in here to get the best possible fit here, I would say. So increase even more, and then we're just scaling down this mask here. It can be very hard on objects like these to get them to fit exactly over, but you can rotate and manipulate however you want with this one. So we try to get this to fit exactly over the halo. You might want to reposition it a few times to see that it actually is covering only the halo here. Because if it covers more or less, you might experience some sharp edges around the halo or star that you were actually trying to manipulate. When you feel that you are satisfied with the mask here, we are clicking OK, and that will actually create a mask here in the background. As you can see, we have now a mask. Now, if we were to use this mask directly onto the image here, there will be some problems because the lines or edges are very sharp here, too sharp. So we need to apply some method of blurring a bit those sharp edges. For that, we are using the convolution tool. I have it on a shortcut here with the settings predefined for manipulating halos, but you can find it under Process, All Processes, and Convolution. Simply add in these numbers: 20 for standard deviation, 2 for shape of the filter function, and 1 for aspect ratio. We will see a preview of what that will look like. And then you simply just apply this to the mask here. And now you can see that it is affected. What we will do with this mask now is that you will take it by this little tab here, drag it on to the copy of your image, or you don't have to have a copy, but the image that you want to manipulate. Drop it here and you will see that the mask is applied. You can manipulate the mask by inverting it. Now you can see that we are protecting the actual halo, but we don't want to do that. We want to protect the background. We only want to manipulate the area where the halo is. So invert it back. But in order for you to have a better view when working with this mask, you can select Show Mask. That will disable the view of the mask, but without disabling the actual mask on the image. You can see that there is a mask active here on this image by looking at the tab here, and you can see the coloring on this. What we want to do now is we want to open up histogram transformation. I'm going to select the image that we are actually manipulating. I am opening up a real-time preview. And in this real-time preview, I will be able to see the manipulation as I am doing it. And the manipulation that we want to do is that we want to use the middle lever here of the histogram, and we want to adjust the level of the middle here to get this halo to be dialed down or toned down to the same level as the surrounding background or nebulosity. Now this can be a very tedious process, especially if you have a halo that is multi-layered. Let's say it is very, very sharp and dense and intense in the middle here, and then it, kind of fades off as it grows outward. Then you might need to make a bigger mask from the outside and then work your way in, slightly decreasing every layer until it is all removed or reduced. You might not be able to get it completely removed, but you will see. So we're going to take this lever, and I'm going just to show you now. I'm going to extremely manipulate it to show you what will happen with the halo. If I grab it here and if I move it, you will see that I'm manipulating the level of the area here around the star, but only the area covered by the halo. But of course I don't want to have this much removed, because then the area will be all black. The star will be nice, but the surrounding background will be black. And I don't want to add more light. I don't want to make the halo bigger. So I'm going to reset this. I'm going to slightly just slightly manipulate it. This is maybe the hardest example to see, but we began there. I'm going to just slightly adjust it and apply that to the image. We can zoom in here and undo histogram transformation and redo it. You can see that we made a little bit of difference, not that much. So we might need to adjust it some more. Opening up a preview again, reset the tool here. And apply a new histogram transformation. And then we might see some other progress here. Well, you can still see that it is a little bit darker now, maybe a little bit darker than the background, but the line here has been blurred out. So you can't really see the halo that much anymore. When this is going to be integrated later on with the other images, I think you will have a fairly good result, I would say. So for this one, we have a little stronger halo. It's still an 03. I'm going to make a copy of this. We're going to go through the same procedure here. I'm opening the script utilities, the game script. I'm selecting the binary mask. I'm stretching this so I will be able to see where I am creating this mask. And then I'm adding my multi-point here. I'm adjusting this to fit over what I think is the complete halo. It can be a little bit difficult sometimes, but something like that. I'm clicking OK when I'm finished. I'm opening up my convolution again, and with the exact same settings, I'm running that on my mask. I will apply the mask to my image. I will disable show mask, and we are opening up histogram transformation one more time. Make sure you have the correct image selected. Opening up a preview here for this image, and then we are back to adjusting the histogram here. I just slightly reduce that now because we don't want to overdo it. Now we're back 2 steps. So stepping forward here, we can see that we have reduced the halo very much now in 2 different layers here. So I think I'm fairly pleased with that. Like I said before, if you have a few little artifacts here, they are going to be taken care of at integration time, I would say. Moving on with this image, now this could look like a mouthful to swallow. You can see that we have actually, or maybe some large, very large halo, but we're going to focus on the halo that is here, this sharp, and see if we can't do anything about that. So on this copy, we are doing the same thing here, opening up the script and the utilities game script. You know this by now, auto SDF, binary mask. We're adding this mask here. We are positioning it over the halo here. And we are trying just to get this very extreme halo. Now, this is the hardest possible halo to fix, I would say, because the line is so sharp here. We're going to try and see what happens. So the mask is completed, and I don't know why PixInsight sometimes think it's fun to maximize windows without me telling it to do so, but I'm applying the same convolution here to this mask, and I'm applying the mask here as usual, minimizing this mask to my little collection of masks, and I will disable show mask and open up histogram transformation, and we are going to select the master 031 clone here. Now we are going to open up a preview, and we are going to try and see what will happen to this. Like you see, if I do too much now, I will have a distinct difference between the background and the start of the halo that I don't want. So I'm going to try to reduce this as much as I can without making the background affected there. So that was very successful, I would say. If we go back, you can see that I have reduced the halo there somewhat. Now we are going to repeat this process, but first we are removing this mask because we want to create a new mask slightly smaller. Same procedure as before. Zooming in, it has been reduced a little bit, so we are going to reduce the mask here a little bit, making a new mask. And apply a convolution to that, and apply the mask to the image here. Hopefully on your light frames you don't have this much problems. These are the worst stacked frames that I could actually find in my little collection when I was searching for this video, so hopefully your won't be as bad. Preview again, and we are trying to reduce this a little bit more. Something like that. Now, when a halo is as powerful as this one, you won't be able to remove it completely. You will only be able to make it smaller. And stepping in now, you can see that we are making it smaller, but we're also making the edges more distinct here. So that's one thing you have to consider, that the edges you might want to be careful with that. We're going to try one more time here. Now we're going to see if we are going to do something about those. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than before to see if I can't fix those edges a little bit also, because you really don't want to have the sharp edges that we have there. So I'm making it a little bigger than it was before. And convolution. Convolution, of course, also makes it a bit harder to, manipulate the edges more. It really removes more from the core of the star here. So remove this mask, and we're going to add this mask here. And opening up histogram transformation again. Make sure that we have the right image selected and a preview. Now this is where we have to be careful, because if you reduce this too much now, you will have this distinct line. So I'm just going to make slight adjustments here. And now I will be able to continue on. If I want to continue on reducing this even more, I can. You will never, like I said, remove this halo completely, because it is too intense, I would say. We can compare before and after on this one if you want to. You can see that this halo is much bigger than this halo, but we will still have some halo effect on this image here. It is smaller when you have it in natural size. It is still very much visible there, but yeah, you can't really do much more about that, I would say. But I guess you could try a few more iterations on that one to see what will happen. Now, the big halo here on my S2, that is not so. We also have some kind of duplicated reflection here. I would say that this is in the telescope or optics train, maybe, but we're going to focus on this big halo here. We are opening up the game script once again, selecting binary mask auto SDF. Now I was in here trying to make a mask earlier. That's why we already have this in here. But here you can see that the halo is not centered over the star here. So we will try to manipulate it down to the correct size. This could be a bit hard because this is not a perfect shape. It is a little bit tricky. And as you can see here, not centered over the star. And it is also a bit layered on the outside here. So you might to use some trial and error to get this shape correct and get it placed where it should be, but something like that. And we are making this. We are applying convolution to it to make sure that we don't have the sharp edges, and then applying this mask to the image that we want to manipulate. And we are protecting everything except for the area of the halo. Disable show mask and open up histogram transformation. And now we are going to select the correct image and open up a preview. So this will be interesting to see if we can Yeah, here you can see that it is very sensitive. You really have to be very light on your hand when you're actually clicking here. If you don't have it exactly centered over the arrow, it might just increase or decrease by its own. And this time it is a little bit better, but still maybe. When you're adjusting this, you can focus on an area here inside the circle and outside and try to get those to match up in intensity. Something like this maybe. And yeah, you can see that we still have this little circle here around it. If I go out here, you can see that, well, I basically removed the glowing flare of it, but the outer line here is actually brighter than the halo inside. So this circle is a bit brighter. Now you can, of course, repeat this process as well several times. And maybe you could try with a bigger circle at first, but as you can see here, the levels here are identical. If I were to try and reduce this even more, I would say that we have a problem. So I think I'm going to keep this, and when we integrate this here, I would say that we will have a fairly good result. We will try to do a little bit of comparison before and after here. So for this image, we had a very big halo. It was not centered over the star. It had some sharp edges out here, but with just one pass of histogram transformation, we removed a lot of the bright content of the inside of this halo. And I would say this could be removed when integrating this into an SHO image. We had the problem child here. This was a bit harder, but at least we reduced this halo. I think it will be better also here when integrating. This is a bit smaller than this one, but it's very, very intense, and that is hard to handle. And we have the elephant trunk nebula here. Here we have had not so big of a halo, but you can still see it very clearly here. It shines from this triple system, and in the image to the right here, we have removed a lot of the brightness that made up this halo. And of course, when zoomed out here and stacked, I would say you won't be able to see much of that halo effect. If we have it zoomed out here, you can see most of the halo effect is gone or heavily reduced. We have the teddy bear nebula here. We didn't have that much halo, but it was still a faint glow around that star, and we were able to remove most of that, I would say. And you will also not be able to see much of that when this image has been stacked together. That was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching it. Do you want me to try to remove some halos from your images? Feel free to contact me to arrange a data transfer, and I will attempt to process an image or remove halo for you. If you want to see me make a tutorial on PixInsight for something else, please also feel free to contact me with your requests. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already doing so. If you want to support the work with these videos, there is an option listed in the video description that you can use. And until the next video, I wish you have clear skies.